Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashum, Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakakwadash, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Hey, Shalom. This lesson is just going into a multiple wives. Is going to be happening on this side as well as the kingdom. Because in the kingdom, the earth, the Israelites that have been cut off, all of them are going to be pretty much born right back into the kingdom. And as much death is going to be taking place, in the time of the end, in the time coming, the earth is going to need to be replenished, and the Israelites are going to be fruitful and multiplying, and we're going to have multiple wives. But just to start off with this is in the Old Testament, which is a completely different way than how we're living today in Babylon the Great, where multiple wives was not looked down upon. Where here in Babylon the Great, having multiple wives, having, concubines, all this kind of stuff is looked down upon, yet adultery, all kinds of abomination is propped up and pushed. To where if a woman isn't happy, she can just up and leave you and get married to another man. Well, that's adultery. If that first husband is still alive, that's adultery. Sleeping with another man's wife, adultery. Adultery is not, you just, taking a woman that doesn't have a husband. That's not adultery. Taking a woman that's a virgin, that's not adultery. Having two wives, that's not adultery. But this is 2 Samuel chapter 2. And just to get to the point that this here, well, I'm going to read it, start at verse, did I say chapter 2? I meant to say 2 Samuel chapter 12, and I'll start at verse 7. And Nathan said to David, "Thou art the man." Now this is Nathan, he was telling King David, a parable, of a man that took another man's lamb. And this is basically, he's telling him about him taking, Bathsheba, Uriah the Hittite's wife, and getting him killed by putting him on the front lines, of a battle, and getting him killed so he could take Bathsheba, who he already had committed adultery with. So here's 2 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 7. And Nathan said to David, "Thou art the man. Thus saith Yahweh, power of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul." And if you read about King David, he had multiple wives before this point. What did he have? I can't remember her name. The wife of Nabal. And I believe he had another one. He had King Saul's daughter. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but he had multiple wives before Bathsheba. Now, again, and Nathan said to David, "Thou art the man. Thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, power of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom." So even Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is letting David know, even here you reading, I gave you King Saul's wives. I gave you King Saul's everything, his house, everything. And gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. So he gave you both the entire kingdom. Because the 12 tribes, all the tribes were unified under King David. And if it had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. So, matter of fact, So all that, hey, if you wanted more wives, if you wanted more wives, you could have asked. You know, if you wanted more, if it wasn't enough for you, you could have asked for it. But it wasn't a problem that he had wives. It was that he committed adultery and murder. So again, 2 Samuel chapter 12 and verse 8, and I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. So I would have gave Yahweh Shem Yahushua saying, I would have gave you more if it wasn't enough. You didn't have to go out of your way. You didn't have to do that. Now this is Judges. Just give an example of Israelites, men in the scriptures, which is in accounts that people that actually lived had multiple wives. And this is just straight to the point. This is Judges chapter 8 and verse 30. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. So Gideon, he had many wives, and out of all them wives, he had 70 sons. And that's not even going into that. That's just the sons. You know, that's not saying, not even going into if he had daughters or not, because it doesn't say. But the point being, he had 70 sons, and it says he had many wives. Now, Gideon did great things in Israel during his time. Now, Yahweh Shem Yahushua didn't have a problem with this. He wasn't committing adultery. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem. Even Solomon, 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start up a little bit. I'm starting verse 3. Second Kings, Salakia, 2 Kings 11 and verse 3. And he had 700 wives. So King Solomon, he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. But that the point was that he had this many wives. But with this here, the wives turned away his heart. I'll start off with verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. And Solomon clave unto these in love. Now, keep in mind, Solomon's in this flesh. We're all susceptible to sin. You know, we're susceptible to going off. But when we receive the new bodies, and we're not going to go off. We're not going to be swayed. You know, hey, the other nations are going to have to follow our ways. We're not going to be swayed by their other gods, any of that stuff. They're not even going to worship their other gods. Those things are going to be a thing of the past. And we're going to have wives of all the different nations. Hey, all the different nations. And guess what? We have a lay with them. You know, the same. It's like you plant a seed. It don't matter where you plant it. Whatever that seed is, that's what it's going to grow up to be. If you plant an apple tree in Russia, guess what? It's going to be an apple tree. You plant an apple tree in Japan, it's still going to be an apple tree. You plant your Israelite seed in any of these women, in an Ammonite, a Moabite, a Edomite, a Zidonian, whatever, it's going to be an Israelite. But the point being that he had 700 wives. And it wasn't just that he had those wives in the different nations. It was because they turned away his heart. That was the problem. The problem with King David wasn't that he had all, different wives. It was because he committed adultery. He committed murder. You know, the problem with King Solomon, matter of fact, with Gideon, there wasn't even a problem. It said after you read the next verse, it said he died in a good old age. But with King Solomon, guess what? They turned away his heart. He started worshiping the other gods, started building the temples for him and whatnot. But in the coming times, in these days coming, guess what? Women, in the times of trouble, the women are going to start flocking to the men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. They're going to need protection. You know, right now, this day, right now, it's not a good idea, you know, to try to have multiple women, because it's just not time for it. These women are bugged out of their mind. You know, they think they don't need a man, whatever. Let them be. But the time coming, here, let me see here. I'm going to start at verse 4. I always like to start up on this one, because it's describing the time coming. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. What we're entering into, these times, you can only expect them to get worse. With the tyrant in office right now, you can only expect things to get worse. With the MOTB, expect things to get worse, because you're not going to be able to survive or participate in society. No matter where you are around the world, if you don't have that MOTB, that RFID micro C-hip, you're not going to be able to survive in society. So this is Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 4. And these are the words that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. So this is both the southern kingdom, both the northern and southern kingdom, I should say. You know, all the 12 tribes. This is the time. It says in Revelation 3 and 10, this is the hour of temptation. This is going to try the whole world. And these are the words that Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. So the time's coming. These are terrible times. These are not peaceful times. These are not, you know, funny times. You know, these are terrible times. This is a time like never before. You know, you got robot dogs, drones. I was watching a video earlier. You know, they got these portable drones that look like they're carrying RPGs. You know, lasers, all kinds of crazy shit. And you don't know, in this period of time, you're going to have to be pilgrims in the earth. You don't know where you're going to be from place to place. This is a terrible, unsettling time and a very anxious time. And that's for those in the know. Those that don't know, that are just passing on, you know, thinking that this is just a normal day, whatever, and they're just in the dark. They don't even know. They're not even aware of what's getting ready to take place. So Jeremiah 30 verse 5, for thus saith Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So why do I see every man running around, all the men running around scared, like a chicken with their head cut off, running around with their hands on their loins, fucking like a woman about to give birth. Her water just broke. Men are panicking. Men in this society are effeminate. The only men that are really men in these days are going to be the men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, the Israelites. The men that are truly following Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, because you have a lot of people, you know, a lot of so-called men that still get, you know, their hair lined up, worried about their looks, worried about what they're going to get in this society, worried about getting cars, you know, worried about, you know, not even considering the times to come, thinking that this time period is only going to happen, that's going to happen 1,000 years from now. It's not going to happen right now. You have men that are laid back, thinking they got, you know, not even considering. not taking this word serious. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So this is a day great. This is a great day that like no time before. But Jacob, the Israelites, the elect of Israel are going to be saved. 2/3 are going to be cut off. Matter of fact, let me see here. I'm taking a Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. Who is that? The children of Israel. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So it's a book of life. The only ones that are going to be delivered are the men, women, and children of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But it's starting with the elect, the 144,000. If your name is written in the book of life, you're going to be delivered. And you're going to need a man to be under. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 2. I'm going to start at verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, the latter days, the last times, the times that we're in, just look around, look what's going on. The MOTB getting ready to be introduced, waiting for it to be mandated. World War III, famines, earthquakes, wars, rumors of wars, uprisings of the people. Looking at a video earlier, just a sinkhole just opened up in Brazil, about the size of a football field behind somebody's house. Just a big ass. Earthquakes happening everywhere. But again, for behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations. So in this time, Judah and Jerusalem, that's all the 12 tribes gathering together. We're being gathered together by the word. And after this, we're going to be gathered, the elect are going to be gathered into the chariots, the so-called UAPs, UFOs. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. So all nations are going to be gathered, which is building up right now. In the valley of Yahweh Shaphat is the Middle East. They're going to be gathered there for World War III. And it speaks of that in 2nd Ezra 13. How all the nations were gathered together, and they're going to be gathered together to try to fight Yahweh Shai. But Yahweh Shai is going to take them out, like, easy. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. And Yahweh Shaphat, that means, it says Jehoshaphat, but it's really Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment. This is a great day of judgment. And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So the plead doesn't mean to beg with them. He's going to judge them. Let's look at that for plead. That's there, which means to judge. So he's not, how today people think that pleading means you're going to beg somebody. No, he's getting ready to judge these nations. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. He's going to judge these nations. And the judgment is death for them. Because I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So whom they scattered among the nations. We've been scattered amongst all the different nations, through slavery, through different things, primarily slavery, going back to Deuteronomy 28 and 68, and our land has been parted. Look at what the small hats are doing. They're figuring out, putting resorts and canals and I can't remember the oil. I can't remember what it's called right now. the oil refineries, things like the offshore drilling. But anyway, Yahweh Shem Shai is gathering y'all together for World War III, and y'all going to be judged there. That's going to be your tomb. Uh, 144. So like it. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 16. And this is describing, the kind of the things that are going on. The things that are be going on in Babylon the Great, because there's not going to be any people around. And I'm just going to try to get to the point. I'm just going to start at verse 32. 2nd Esdras chapter 16 and verse 32. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel therethrough. So there's going to be so much death, people dying of famine, people dying in different ways, disease, famine, people raiding each other. It even said that the dead were going to be cast out like dung. Meaning they're not even going to be bother burying people. They're just going to throw them out. Just throw them out to the street. It reminds me of I think that was Monty Python. In the Holy Grail, they had a part where they were like, bring out your dead. And they just, throwing out the dead people just in the morning like it's a daily routine. But anyway, verse 33, and the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. So the women are going to be affected by this, because there's going to be World War III. All the nations are going to be gathered there. There's going to be drafts. People are going to be called off to go fight. And what's going to happen then? There ain't going to be no men here. Nobody left. The women are going to be mourning. They ain't going to be able to do anything. The only people, it also says, I believe in this chapter or the 15th chapter, that men are going to be raiding each other, breaking into each other's houses, having no sympathy, in roughly paraphrasing. This is going to be a rough, terrible time, especially for you women, and especially for you women that have been super proud and leading up to this. Because what are you going to do? The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. So y'all, the men are going to be dying either of famine or in the war. They're not telling you on the news, but if you go and look at the store shelves, especially with the eggs and whatnot, eggs are used in a lot of things, making bread, sweets, everything. Every other day, you'll see the shelves empty. That thing is kind of dwindling. It's gonna be more and more things you're not gonna see on the shelf. This is Isaiah chapter 4 and verse 1. And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread, and we will wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name, to take away our reproach. Now 7 women. This is any number of women. This is just 7 means completion. There's going to be any number of women going to try to take hold of one man, and not just any man. They're going to try to take hold of a man of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai. Somebody that's really going to protect them. The same way the men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai are cleaving to Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai. Not departing away from him, not calling on different names, not trying to get the riches of the world. And these women are going to try to cleave to us like that. To the men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai like that. So again, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So they're going to wear their own clothes, everything. They want to be under you. This is Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 1. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge will fear. So man, he's going to be more precious. This is not just any man. This is a man of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. You know, he's going to be more precious than anything, any commodity out here. This is Isaiah 32 and verse 2. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind. So that the times that are coming, a man is going to be your protection. Not just any man. A man of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, and as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So that man is going to be able to protect you in that day. You're going to be looking for protection. You're going to be looking for help. You know, in that day, you're going to need a man. This is Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 21. I'm just going to get to the point. I'm just going to end off here because at the end of all this, we're going to go into the kingdom. But this, you know, the woman taking a hold of one man, and this is before the kingdom. But in the kingdom, and we're going to be fully able to reproduce. We're going to be fully, and we're going to have multiple wives. Now, this is in the kingdom. Isaiah 60 and verse 21, thy people, the Israelites, also shall be all righteous, because we're going to be changed. We're going to have new bodies. We're going to have the laws, statutes, commandments put within us. And we're not going to be able to go off no more. We're not going to be like in this flesh. How we got these stupid thoughts, everything. Thy people also shall be all righteous, and we're going to be able to walk in the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. They shall inherit the land forever, Israel, the land of Israel is going to be expanded, enlarged. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. And we're going to be glorifying Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Always. Verse 22, a little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, will hasten it in his time. In his time. So a little one, just one man. You know, you're the smallest of all the nations. You're gonna become 1,000. How are you gonna do that with just one woman? You're gonna have multiple wives. Like how I brought up Gideon. It said he had many wives, but it didn't say how many, but it said he had 70 children. And now in these times, in the times to come in the kingdom, you're gonna have many wives. You're gonna be multiplying. You're gonna have children, grandchildren, grandchildren, and so on. But hey, that's pretty much it for the lesson. You know, Lord willing, this is edifying. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash, and peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Shalom.